What's going on, everybody, and welcome to day 28 of our Juniper networking series. In today's video, we will be taking a small dive into network automation. Within this video right here, we're going to create a Python script to connect to our network switch remotely via SSH. And while we're within that SSH connection, we're going to run the show version command and be able to see the output within our IDE. The library that we're going to be using for this video is the Paramiko library. We're also going to be using the Tom library. The Paramiko library is the one that is going to allow us to connect to our switch remotely. And we're going to use the Tom library to kind of slow down the output so it displays to the IDE. So if you guys are interested in DevOps, if you're interested in programming with Python in general, that can also help you with your networking devices, and you want to go down the rabbit hole a little bit of network automation, this video is for you. So without further ado, let's hop into it. All right, so we have Putty pulled up now. We went on ahead and connected my management interface so we can get an IP address for the SSH connection via DHCP. So let's check out what that IP address is now. So let's do a show interface is terse, and let's match on the ME0. Oops, ME0. Okay, and we can see right here that we were assigned the 192.168.2.6/24 IP address. So we want to remember this IP right here when we're writing our code. So the application that we're going to use is VS Code, so Visual Studio Code. So let me go ahead and pull that up. All right, so I went on ahead and saved this file as paramiko.py within my IDE of VS Code. So let's go ahead and start writing our code now. So the first thing that we want to do is import the Paramiko library for the SSH connection, and that is of course going to allow us to connect to our device remotely. So let's go ahead and import Paramiko, and also let's go ahead and import the Tom module as well. So let's do an import for Tom. Alright, so the next step is importing the SSH client so we can connect to our network device remotely. So let's go ahead and create a variable called SSH client, and we want to set that equal to the Paramiko library, and we want to define the SSH client class, and that looks good. So building off of this variable that we just created, the SSH protocol looks for a known key when you try to connect to a device via SSH. So we need to basically accept the unknown key. So let's go ahead and write some code for that. So let's do SSH underscore client, and we want to do a dot set missing key policy. We can see that is down here. So the missing key policy, and we want to specify within here a attribute of Paramiko and dot auto add policy, and we want to specify that as a function. So the next step is actually connecting to the device. So we're going to specify the actual attributes such as the IP address, the username, the password, and we have a few more attributes that we're going to talk about as well. So to do that, let's go ahead and use that same variable, so that SSH client variable, SSH client, and we want to do the dot connect because we want to connect to this network device. And for the host name, this is actually what the IP address is going to be. So we want to specify the IP address of 192.168.2.6 because when we looked at the management interface, that was the IP address. So that will be considered the host name. We want to connect to port 22 because that is the SSH protocol's port number. The username that we want to use is Ben. And if you guys need a video of how to create a user within your Juniper network device, please check out one of my earlier videos. I think it was day 2 within this series. We did a creating a user video. Okay, but moving on, let's specify the password that we're going to use, and the password that we created for this user account was password number 1. And the last 2 attributes that I want to talk to you guys about is the look for keys. As I was editing this video, I realized that my big old head was in the way, so you guys did not see the attributes for the look for keys or the allow agent equals false commands, or I should say attributes. But this is what it looks like. So just ignore my big old head and imagine that this is the end of the code. Let's get back into it. This is a more advanced topic, but basically it prevents Paramiko from trying the SSH key. So we want to set this to false because we want to prevent it from happening. It's a more advanced topic. And then we want to also do the allow agent parameter as well. And this prevents the SSH agent. So we want to also specify this as false. So now that we have made the SSH object, we have did the host key handling, and we have connected to the device with all of the attribute information. Now we need to go ahead and create the interactive shell. So let's go ahead and do that now. So what we want to do is create another variable, and we're going to do, let's say, configure. Let's make this as a configure variable, and we want to set it to the SSH client, and we want to do the invoke shell. And basically what this command is doing is connecting to the terminal. So if we were to connect to the terminal on our network device, this is the command that you would put if we were writing code. So now that we're within the shell or the terminal, let's go ahead and write the command to do the show version. So to do that, let's do a configure dot send, and we want to send the show version command. So show version, and let's do a \n to create a new line. And after we execute this command, let's go ahead and do a pause. So we want to use the time module to sleep for just 1 second. And this is basically going to allow our network device to have some time to respond to the command and send this output. So let's do a time.sleep, and let's specify 1 second. All right, so now let's go ahead and get our variable ready to receive that output. So let's create an empty string output, and we're going to set it to an empty string. All right, so now that we have our output variable ready for our output, let's create a loop to check to see if the data is ready within our SSH buffer. So to do that, let's do a while configure dot receive v ready. So this command right here. All right, so let's do a colon to hop inside of our loop, and we want to do a output, which is going to be a plus equals to configure, because that is the variable that we're using, dot receive v, and we want to specify a value of 65,535 because this is the number of bytes to read. So that is what we're receiving right here, and we want to decode this within UTF-8 because that is the decoding that we need to convert the bytes to a readable text. So let's do UTF-8. All right, that looks good. So now let's go ahead and get out of our loop now, and let's go ahead and print that output variable. Let's print that output variable. And the last thing that we want to do is actually close this SSH connection. You always want to do that. So let's do a SSH client dot close and put the function closing there, and that looks perfect. So it's the moment of truth. We have written this code. Let's see if it runs. All right, let's specify R right here so we can run this code, and let's hit run one more time. And it looks like we did run the show version command, but we may have not waited enough time. So I may need to specify a value of 3 right here. Let's give it some more time to collect that output and see what happens. Yep, so we didn't give the device enough time to actually collect the output of the command. So we just changed the time, the sleep time, to 3 seconds to allow that message to be captured on the device, and now it is displayed right here in our output of our IDE. So we ran basically we ran the show version command within an SSH connection, and this is the output that we got. So we can see the host name, which is bin switch number 2. We can see the model of EX3300 at 48P. We can see the firmware that we're running, and we can see a lot more information. So if I was to pull up PuTTY, which is right here, and we are consoled into this switch as well, if I do a show version, we should get the same output. So show version, I get the same exact output that I got from running my command using basically network automation. So I appreciate you guys for tuning into day 28 of our Juniper networking series. I hope to see you in day 29, but until then, peace out.